So when you're reffing the Heyball event, what do you see different in the players? How they play on American tables, how they compare?
Well, it's a different strategy on the Heyball tables. You know, the rounded pockets, the directional cloth, the time clock. There are certain things you can do in normal 8-ball that you would get in like a World 8-ball event that you can't do here. There's slight different rules.
Yeah, could you maybe elaborate a little bit on the rule differences?
Well, there are some. So here you cannot play, when an open table, you can't play a solid into a stripe. Okay. You have to play the suit you're going for. So if you hit a solid first, you have to pocket a solid in order to close the table and not keep it open.
But you don't need to call that you're gonna.
No, that's the next thing that's really different. It's a full fluke game. There's no call shots in the game at all, including the game-winning ball. Does not have to be called. Okay. There's specific break rules for this game. Here we played with 3 points past the head string. Normally the men play with 4 points past the head string, and the women play with 3 points past the head string. And the points past the head string are pretty simple. It's, 3 balls past the head string, or 2 balls and 1 ball pocketed, okay, or 2 balls pocketed and 1 ball up, or 3 balls pocketed. The one caveat is, though, if you get a ball to pass the head string and pocket that ball, you then get double points for that. You get 2 points for that instead of 1.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things, and that becomes what's called a non-compliant break. Okay, so obviously if you foul on a break, it's still a break foul, but if you make a good attempt at a break and it doesn't, it's a non-compliant break, and the incoming player has, they can play the table as it lies, they can force the person to break again, they can break themselves, okay, and you get a 1 for a non-compliant break. And once you accumulate 3 non-compliant breaks, you lose a rack, okay? And the non-compliant breaks are cumulative through the whole set. It's not in one game. So you could get a non-compliant game in the first game, you could then get a non-compliant game, a break in the 3rd game, and a non-compliant break in the 5th game. Well, when you get the one in the 5th game, you would then lose a rack because you have 3 non-compliant breaks overall for the set.
I see. Interesting.
It forces people to, not soft break, and they want the ball spread out to play. They don't want, the one thing is with rounded pockets, okay, if you get in start creating a lot of clusters and other things, and games can take forever. Once you get into a safety battle, games can take forever, so they're trying to curtail that.
I guess that also brings us to the time limit rule, right? There's a 100 minute master clock.
100 minutes to play the match in. Okay, that's so they can time their matches out, so they can have timed sessions. So you can play at 1 and at 3 and at 5 and at 7 because they have 100 minutes for the match. Okay.
And do you see that?
You stop that when the referee racks, because the referee racks all the time.
Yeah.
So the referee racking doesn't impose on the time limit. It's play time for the players.
Gotcha.
So you stop the clock, the referee racks, you restart the clock again. Okay. And it provides for different strategy. Okay. Because now, like football, basketball, okay, there comes a time when you have to worry about clock management. In a football game, at the end of the football game, clock management can be extremely important. It can make the difference between winning and losing a football game, and a team getting the ball back and having a chance to win. So clock management in this becomes a crucial part of the game as the match goes on.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And I know there is some drama in in the last few matches. For example, when Corey played the shootout, and then he misses the Heyball, right? But then the cue ball comes back.
Came around and hit it in again, yeah.
So that counts as well.
Well, because as I said earlier, it's all fluke. You don't have to call anything. And if time runs out, okay, if you're playing a game-winning ball, match-winning ball, or a match-tying ball, like you're on the 8 ball when the 100 minutes runs out, the person has to be allowed to play that shot. So they make the shot and tie it up, or they make the shot and win, okay? Even though time runs out, they get that shot. But if time runs out and it's tie, they go into a shootout, okay? And the shootout is a pretty difficult shootout. The 8 is basically spotted was probably about the dead center of the lower end of the table, below the rack.
So it's closer than the first diamond.
It's basically in the center. It's here.
Oh, here.
Okay. Which is just below the rack.
Yeah.
Okay. And the cue ball is spotted up here on the center of the head string.
Right. So this is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to show.
And then you would be putting an object ball, the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the shootout.
And so they have to make it.
Okay. And for the shootout, it's 5 innings. Each player takes a turn. They relag again before the shootout to determine who goes first.
Right.
Okay. And then they play the shootout. And you have to cut it into one of the 2 corners. Okay.
So you get to place.
You can play it anywhere you want.
Right.
Okay.
You don't have
you
to
can bank it. You can cut it. Everybody tries to cut it in one of the 2 corners.
Yeah.
One of the things is if you hit it hard enough, you can, at times, as one of the players did in this event, rattle the ball and leave it here, and the cue ball wraps around the whole table and comes back and hits it in.
Nope.
Let's go! Let's go!
So you get the point because you don't have to call the shot.
Gotcha.
Okay? But then we also had a player here who made 4 of these shots in a row. Okay? And the second 2, that shot where you wrap the cue ball around can also be dangerous because in his scenario, he'd already made the 8. So it wasn't blocking the pocket. So instead of knocking the 8 in, he scratched and he lost the point. He adjusted a little bit, went around the table, and this time the cue ball hit here, and went in the side pocket.
Oh no.
You know, even though they're rounded pockets, it's the same age-old rule in pool. You know?
Yeah.
It's always easy to miss a ball, but for some reason pockets reject regular balls, but always sink the cue ball. Yeah. So that's even true on these tables.
Yeah. It must be frustrating when you can't make a ball, but the cue ball still goes.
But the cue ball goes in all the time on you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.